Eric, I've been around long enough to have seen a lot of different technologies come and, spread through the industry, automation, various types of communication systems. IoT is one that I have been hearing about for many years, even as in the early 2000s, IoT, connected sensors, the promise of the Internet of Things, the Internet of Everything. Some of those technologies panned out, and we see them all over, certain automation, robotics, things like that. IoT always seemed like one that never quite lived up to the promises, in decades past. I know that now we have a few, technological breakthroughs that are really changing that story. So my question to you is, why is IoT important and why now specifically versus maybe 5, 10 years ago?
Wow, that's a long question, but a very interesting one. Well, they say that timing is everything. And one of the things that as an entrepreneur and technologist, I have learned to try to avoid is to be too early. Back in, I don't know, 2002 or 3, we did the first intranet for Black& and Decker at the time, convincing IT guys that they didn't need to talk to the business people, convincing business people they would not need to speak to the IT guys. And that was kind of the hook back then, right? But what bothers me is that 20, 25 years later, we continue to have companies that do not use intranets. So sometimes it's not the lack of the technology. I think that's a big part of the equation. I'll get back to that. But it's also the attitude and the management attitude towards technology and the existence or the lack of champions within these companies to make these things happen. I can understand that sometimes innovation sounds like a bad word, and it is potentially if it's not properly managed. You cannot innovate just for the sake of it. You need to be solving a problem. You need to be looking for an outcome. You need to be thinking of what's next after that, which is what I can see a lot of our customers have not thought this thing through. They look at the technology, they want to try it, but there isn't really, in most cases, like a real plan. So why now? I think we are in a moment, actually, with the advent of AI, I believe this whole conversation has been greatly accelerated in ways that are incredible. And we are leveraging a lot of it as quickly as we can, but in chunks that make sense within the context of what we're solving for the customers. But I would summarize that probably in terms of real time. I think real time for an industry, it's hugely important. It's the difference between an employee having an accident and not being taken care of in proper time. It means a formula and a mix in a product that goes bad altogether. It means I'm going to get fined because I did not resolve the problem of the dust at the time that it was necessary, or I was not able to anticipate that. I mean, we have such amazing tools for predictive maintenance, and the return on investments are literally sometimes days for some of the customers we have. So why would you not, right? The second thing is that now we have the advent of another layer of innovations. For instance, in the area of telecommunications, we now have all this plethora of sensors around the LoRaWAN protocol, as an example, where we have, I don't know, dozens or hundreds of vendors and thousands of sensors, which are all interoperable now. That was not the case a few years ago. Also, they are wireless, battery operated. What does it mean? Installations can take place hours or minutes instead of cabling and planning and stopping plants and stuff like that. We put our sensors with magnetic magnets into the case of the engine, and you're monitoring right now. So all of that, it's super important. Air quality, environmentals, leaking, vibrations, pressures, levels, flows, lasers, radars, all of that stuff is now available, including ATEX explosive rated sensors too. So the sensors have extraordinary quality now, industrial quality. The wireless infrastructure is there to support all this with the necessary encryption security layers that make it enterprise viable. And then companies like ours, which are looking at all this and building these type of operating systems that are probably new to the industry, which help companies add this piece of architecture to their operating environments and help them control things a lot quicker, a lot better, interacting with multiple stakeholders like you do with a SharePoint or like you do with your emails, right? So we're just bringing all that to the industrial scene with security, with process, with engineering, and we're being rewarded by very happy customers.